This is Michael Popok, Legal AF. Tim Walz is a great pick for Kamala Harris and for the nation. You learn a lot about a presidential candidate two ways. One, how they run their presidential campaign. That's an indicator for how successful they're going to be as president of the United States. And by all accounts, Kamala Harris, as CEO of Kamala Incorporated, is doing an amazing job. Sign her up, extend her contract, and who she picks for her vice president. She made some very important calculations here that bode well for her judgment. First of all, she decided she didn't need another lawyer on the ticket. I know there's a lot of people that supported Josh Shapiro, and Josh Shapiro may well one day make a very good attorney general under Kamala Harris, but we have the lead person with a legal background training. I like the fact that Tim Walz is salt of the earth, comes from Nebraska, was a football coach, was a non-commissioned officer in the military, made his way to one of the highest levels and have been deployed several times, including in defense of our nation. I like the fact that he was a school teacher. I like the fact that he's not a lawyer. And more importantly, he has tremendous political skills and chops. He didn't just coin the phrase, "they're weird," which he did. That's not the reason. For people to kind of minimize her decision-making process, like she went with the weird guy, the guy that called Donald Trump and J.D. Vance weird and it stuck. That completely misses the point of who and what Governor Walz is. Governor Walz, as the head of the Democratic Governors Association and chaired it, led to some of the record-breaking fundraising by the Democrats, meaning he knows how to raise money. He knows how to run a campaign. For 12 years, he was in Congress. He has tremendous respect and relationships within Congress itself. In fact, those are the very people that were imploring Kamala Harris to pick Tim Walz. And he is not afraid of being a Democrat and a progressive Democrat. As he said, and I love this line, he said, "We need to run on the politics of joy." That's the campaign, not the hellscape that Donald Trump has presented, but the politics of joy. He said that at a recent fundraiser just the day before he was selected for Kamala Harris to be her running mate. And look at him, school teacher, football coach, National Guard, successful two-term governor in a state that hadn't had a Democratic governor in years, and with a very slim majority in with his legislature, he was able to pass some of the most important progressive Democratic social policies around. Exactly what you want for a governor, and exactly what you want for a governor running now on the ticket of Harris Walz. Free lunch and breakfast for students in his state because of Governor Walz. Paid family leave, right? Restrictions on guns, and abilities for people to get who have low income or low income, the working people of America to get home loans. That's what he stood for. He didn't take the political expedient path or the easy path. Tim Walz has always taken the hard path to get big things done for the citizens of his state and now for the American electorate. As he once said about himself, you don't win elections in order to get political capital. You win an election to burn political capital to help the people. And that's what he's done every time. Now, I know they're jumping up and down, kind of, again, false bravado at the Republican side about the selection of Tim Walz. Oh, thank God it's Tim Walz. He's a progressive. We can tie her together with Kamala Harris. Look at the polls. People want what Kamala Harris and the Biden-Harris administration are selling. And he, being a part of that, will be a dutiful, amazing number two who knows his ways around the halls of Congress, who's liked by the progressive wing of the party that's important to energize them. In order to win an election, I know this sounds ridiculous. In order to win an election, people have to actually vote. They have to be excited to vote. We need more excited people to vote on our side than their side. And Tim Walz excites people in the party. Kamala Harris has already immediately united those constituencies of the Democratic Party that are necessary to win. Very similar to the calculus of Barack Obama. But there was a missing piece, even though she's considered a progressive or a Democrat on that side. She didn't have really the bona fides that Tim Walz does. And Tim Walz also brings something else, geographical diversity. She often gets pinned with being a California liberal. Well, Tim Walz is from Nebraska. He's the governor of Minnesota. And I think now Wisconsin, Michigan, and Minnesota, which often vote together and have very similar ideals, are going to be turned on by Governor Tim Walz. He's plain spoken. He's down to earth. He's super smart, by the way. I mean, he says things come out of his mouth on the fly, which will make him a great debater against that fabulous one-time author, Shady Vance. But he just naturally, he's almost like Will Rogers. He just naturally is plain spoken. That's how that's the weird comment stuck and is now part of the repertoire of the Harris campaign. Not just because it's a phrase, it's because it was delivered by that messenger, by Governor Walz. He just said it so effortlessly. It just rolled off his tongue. And then he doubled down on it recently at the fundraiser. He said, I'm not trying to be mean about the Republicans. It's not a slur. It's just an observation. I can't wait. I mean, I'm already putting in an order for popcorn for the Walz-Vance debate. Oh, my God. Because Vance is a phony version of Tim Walz, and now he's met his match. He's a complete phony version. I call it the hillbilly alchemist, hillbilly alchemy. He just converted before our very eyes into something that never existed before. And yet Tim Walz has walked the walk and talked the talk his entire career. If you had looked at any moment in his career, you would not think he'd be a two-term popular governor for a Midwestern state. You would just, I mean, if you looked at his body of work, leading, football coach, National Guard, school teacher, history teacher, and all of that, then got elected to Congress from a relatively rural district. And from that, it's because every time you meet Tim Walz, you like him. The more you meet him, the more you like him. That's why the American people are going to fall in love with Tim Walz and his support for Kamala Harris. Josh Shapiro, I understand he came down to the final two. He came in second. I think he'd be a great attorney general. He was an attorney general of Pennsylvania. He served as an attorney general along with Kamala Harris when they overlapped a bit, when they were both attorney generals. But she doesn't need another attorney general lawyer type next to her. She needs diversity. Somebody who knows the halls of Congress, somebody who's respected by the governors within the country, somebody who's a masterful fundraiser, somebody who's plain spoken, who will serve as her number two and train for himself so that in 8 years, when he's 68 years old, he looks a little bit older, but when he's 68 years old, 8 years from now, he can run to continue the Harris-Walz legacy. She did everything right here. He's the right age, he's the right demographic, he's the right character and person to support her. And we're going to do a lot of Harris, Walz, Harris. We're going to do a lot of that on the MeidasTouch Network. And I want to get my 2 cents in about what a great pick it was. As I said at the top of the hot take, you judge a presidential candidate by, well, in this case, 3 things: the body of work that they came into the office, in this case, the vice presidency with. And we've watched her for 4 years grow into the vice presidency and as a partner and co-president, if you will, with Joe Biden. It's obvious. But now she's standing on her own 2 feet. She's in the front seat. She's not the co-pilot. She's the pilot, right? She's not the navigator. She's the fighter. She's the fighter pilot. And what are we watching? Her run masterfully, Kamala Incorporated as the CEO. And all the people that are involved in that and all the levers that are involved with that. That bodes well for her judgment and her leadership as President of the United States, Madam President of the United States. And her pick of her vice president. And compare and contrast that to Donald Trump's lurching apocalyptic campaign, which, sometimes I think I'm back in 2015 or when he was campaigning the first time. Nothing's changed. Just I'm back and the apocalypse is coming. You better vote for me. I mean, that's sort of the campaign. And then look at who he picked. It's a novelty act. I said at the time it was the worst pick in vice presidential history since Sarah Palin. And I saw it just like Sarah Palin, a novelty gimmick that got 2 days of people excited. He was a one-trick pony that broke his leg immediately and has just been tearing down and dragged. I didn't think Donald Trump could be dragged down any lower until I saw J.D. Vance. In terms of joining him, there was no reason to pick J.D. Vance. He doesn't help electorally, right? Ohio, I mean, it was already going to do whatever it was going to do. He has no governing experience. Tim Walz, governor, 2-term, congressperson for 11, 12 years in the military and all, National Guard, and not as a boot shining officer, came up as a non-commissioned officer, a sergeant major. He's everything that J.D. Vance isn't. And so J.D. Vance has no governing experience, no fundraising experience, no leadership experience. What's he done? Hillbilly elegy? He was a Silicon Valley, Yale law graduate trying to raise money, for venture capital. Yeehaw. Tim Walz is a mild-mannered guy, who's got leadership skills developed from years of living in the Midwest and doing right things when they were hard. Being a progressive and getting things done to help the American people and make their lives better is hard. And Tim Walz is the right guy to be the number 2 and be supportive and help execute on Kamala Harris's vision for America and her policies as part of the Harris administration. It's a perfect number 2, and we should be very happy about that pick and the bump she's going to get electorally moving forward in real time because of Governor Tim Walz. We'll continue to follow everything in politics and at the intersection of law and politics on Legal AF on the MeidasTouch Network on Wednesdays and Saturdays at 8 p.m. Eastern Time. And then on, that's YouTube. Free subscribe. We're so close to getting the MeidasTouch Network to 3 million free subscribers. I thought we were going to do it by November. I think we're going to do it by Labor Day. Like 30,000. You could be the person that puts us over the top right now. That's how close we are. And it's important because without growing our size of our subscription base, we don't have outside investors. We're completely independent. The power of the network, if you will, is people powered. We're powered by the people. And so we need more people. Not so much money from the people. We need the people from the people. And then you can follow me on Legal AF on Wednesdays and Saturdays at 8 p.m. Eastern Time, right here on Legal AF on YouTube, and then on all major podcast platforms. Just plug in Legal AF. So until my next Legal AF, until my next hot take, this is Michael Popok reporting. Heary, heary, Legal AF Law Breakdown is now in session. Go beyond the headlines and get a deep dive into the important legal concepts you need to know, and we discuss every day on Legal AF. Exclusive content you won't find anywhere else, all for the price of a couple of cups of coffee. Join us at patreon.com/legalaf. That's patreon.com/legalaf.